Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue au conseil du 1er mars 2021. Please excuse us that we're a few minutes late to start the meeting. First, I would just like to start out by wishing everyone who's off school this week, which is the majority of Quebec, a wonderful spring break. We have lots of activities going on throughout the city in terms of the WRC is back open. You can register your spot on our website. And the toboggan run at Murray Hill Park at King George Park is still going. The refrigerated rink in Westmount Park. And the weather hasn't been very cooperative for the rest of our rinks, but we will see how it goes over the next couple of days with the weather getting much colder. And the the cross-country trails at King George Park and at the WAG that have been tracked. And so they may be a bit slick as the weather gets colder, but lots of options. So I hope that the students that are off and the families that are off are able to enjoy those and enjoy them safely. And so while the WRC has opened and we have done other things, it's really, really important that we continue to adhere to the public health guidelines from the province. We are not at the end of this yet, but the good news is that many in our community either got vaccinated today or got appointments, and so it is beginning. And with that hope, I know my parents were vaccinated today. My mother-in-law has her appointment on Wednesday. It brings such an enormous relief. I filled out the form for my parents. It's easy and simple for someone who is accustomed to that. But if you know a senior who is not and would like help, I'm sure we can, I think neighbors really have to reach out and help people get to make this as easy as possible. There had been some discussion that we had requested a vaccine site at Victoria Hall because we wanted something closer to our community. It didn't have to be at Victoria Hall, but we recognized that some of the original sites that were listed could seem quite far away for seniors in our community that, many of whom have not even left their homes in months. So I was pleased, while it's not at Victoria Hall, I was pleased to see it come a lot closer to the community at the MUHC and as well at the Montreal General Hospital. So I think it's just it's a sign, and we know that it will really ramp up. We've waited a long time. We've seen, if you look to our neighbors to the south, we saw the vaccines happening a lot faster, but it is beginning in our community. So that is enormous relief, I'm sure, for everybody. And as it's hard to believe that we are approaching the 1-year anniversary of COVID, and so again, an opportunity to thank the frontline workers, the healthcare workers, the doctors and nurses and hospital workers that live in our community, but also have taken care of people in our community, the workers at Metro and Cinq Saisons and in the pharmacies, and the other essential workers, but also our city employees who have worked tirelessly throughout this. Our public works team, our public security team, our library, everyone within the who works for the city of Westmount have worked so hard in the past year, but also always driven by providing service and continued service to citizens and making this as safe as they possibly could. So it's hard to believe that it has been a month, but I want to thank all of those people and the community that's helped out. As someone, I've had COVID. I know how dependent you become on outside help to get you through it. And I feel we're fortunate to live in a community, or I was very fortunate to have that support. But if you know of others that have COVID, it is really important to support them as best you can. So on that note, I will hand it over to other councillors who have updates tonight. But I guess I would end my update as one of hope for the vaccines to come. So, Councillor Bostock, I think you had an update.
I did. Thank you so much, Mayor Smith. And actually, on the heels of what you're saying, just in terms of if you know a senior who's having trouble getting registered to get their vaccine, you can actually reach out to Contactivity. Public security and contactivity are working together, and they're helping direct people who are in need and how to get them the right resources to get registered for their vaccines. So if you're unsure and if you don't know anybody who can help you, you can call contactivity or even public security, and they will guide you to find the right resource. They won't make the appointment for you, but they'll help you get sorted out.
Thank you for that update. And next, I think Councillor Brushke has an update.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Months of March and April are months to celebrate the environment. And so I just wanted to bring attention to the residents' hydro bills, where we list the date of Earth Hour. So as we do every year, on the last Saturday of March, we invite residents to close and shut off all their non-essential electricity or power generating equipments between 8:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. We all know what we'll be doing at home during COVID. After 8 p.m. we'll be home. So it could be a great occasion to dim the lights or enjoy and celebrate Earth Hour. So this is in March. And then in April, well, I'll just ask you to save the date. The date is April 22nd, it's Earth Day. And our library and community events are organizing something very special. And we'll look forward to updating you a little bit more about that at the April council meeting. That's it for me, thank you.
Thank you for that update, Councillor Brushke. Councillor Gallery.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to wish everybody a happy March break. For those of you who are looking for something to do, want to remind you, you can go online and reserve general skating and or stick and puck. We have, as you know, a reservation system. It'll be up and running all week, and please take advantage of that. Additionally, the Westmount Park rink will be open for the next 2 weeks. It actually closes March 15th. And our remaining ice rinks are not in great shape. They've melted due to the early spring temperature changes. We will do our best to see if we can salvage any or all of the rinks. We'll see what the weather brings, but I can't guarantee anything at this point. I would like to thank both departments, the Sports and Rec and Public Works, for their tremendous hard work during their first winter pandemic and providing such great services. And I think all our residents truly enjoyed the amazingly improved toboggan runs, the outdoor rinks, and of course the cross-country ski tracks. So thank you so much. It takes a lot of innovation and hard work to make these things happen. So much appreciated. With regard to events, we have lots coming our way. Just those who are blood donor givers, we are opening Victoria Hall to HEMA Quebec on March 10th. You must make an appointment online. All the information's on our website. We have an exciting new lecture coming up with Danielle Sauvageau. It's called The Importance of Being Active for Mental Well-Being. And for those of you who don't know Danielle Sauvageau, she was the Olympic coach who led the women's hockey team to their first ever gold medal victory. And we're delighted to have her. She's a tremendous speaker for both children and adults, and spread the word. And you must register, but it's really going to be helpful for all kids and adults who've lost a lot of this past year with lack of sports and connecting with teammates, etc. So it's an exciting one for us. We also have our third fireside chat with Mitch Joel. This month, he's going to be doing an interview with Nick Farkas, who's the SVP at Evenco. So I'm sure that'll be really interesting. That's March 24th. Also, we have our annual McIntyre competition. We have 1 month to get your submissions in. The theme this year is Think Big, Start Small, or in French, it's Vise haut, une marche à la fois. So please, from grades 1 to 11, if you know of any Westmount students, residents, or students of Westmount schools or residents you're all welcome to submit an entry, and we look forward to our annual prize giving later in the spring. Lastly, we have 2 quizzes coming up in March. We have one for teens this week, March 4th, and the last one is March 20th. That's for everybody. They've been a big hit. They're really fun. Again, all our information's online. And for March break, the library newsletter and the library website has lots of events for kids and teens. Don't miss out. Keep busy and stay engaged. And again, take care and keep your social distancing, and we'll hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gallery. Councillor Lullum has an update. Oh, no, sorry. Councillor Kez. I think I had you on my list. Sorry, you're on mute, Councillor Lullum.
Yep. I just wanted to let you know that the annual audit of the financial statements of our city for the fiscal year 2020 is scheduled to start, I think, March 9th next week. And the firm conducting the audit will be Raymond Shabbat Van Thornton, the same firm we used over the last few years. And I think the work should go on for roughly 3 weeks. That's it.
Thank you for that update. Sorry, Councillor Lullum, I think I couldn't hear you. Did you have an
Yes,
update?
I do. Yes,
Okay,
I do.
Thank you.
A very quick one. Last month, the mid-month meeting, there were a lot of questions in February about the Westmount Park survey and its results. And I mentioned that we would be having a meeting with Stantec. We'd be organizing a meeting. So just to say that we will be having that meeting the end of this week. And so at our mid-month meeting, I will have an update on what the next plans are.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. And I think that is it for updates from council tonight. So now we move into the first question period. So I would hand that over to the city clerk. Le greffier, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So our first question received today is from Henny Blom. And the question is as follows. Dear Mayor Smith, councillors, on the city's website, under Department Directory, it says that the city of Westmount has over 250 employees contributing daily to our quality of life, that these managers and skilled professionals are there to provide us with the services we are entitled to. Many blue signs in front of public buildings are missing letters and numbers for many months now. Graffiti are not removed in a respectable time frame. Shouldn't any one of these 250 people working for the city that see these things take the initiative and report it? Am I naive to believe that that would be the right thing to do? I sincerely hope that Westmount reconnects with the high standards expected of it by addressing these problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Actually, those spots that had been mentioned in that question had already been flagged from one of our city employees, and they have ordered the replacement. It just hasn't arrived yet. So they think, like this citizen as well, that was unacceptable, and I'm sure that that situation will be remedied quickly. Thanks for the question, though. Next question, sorry.
Okay, our next question is another question from Henny Blum. The question is, to complement my first question, I would like to add what I have seen around the city. Concerning graffiti, there is one at Avenue G on Green, another on the small building close to the bicycle path at the WRC, and multiple ones on the parking meters. Concerning the blue signs in front of public buildings, a big 4 is missing at City Hall, an R, an A, and 2 6s missing at Victoria Hall, a T at Hydro Westmount. On a positive note, the snow clearing this year is excellent. The idea of clearing Metcalfe at night and Springfield in the morning was an excellent idea. It gives more spaces for parking. Thank you.
So thank you for the snow clearing feedback. I would agree with you. I think Public Works has done an excellent job this year clearing the snow. And all the graffiti points that have been mentioned will be noted, and we will follow up with the administration on that. And as well, the ones that you had listed for the addresses and the T at Hydro Westmount and all that. I think I had noted before in the first part of your question that those have all been ordered already, so they should be installed shortly. But thank you for the question. Next question, City Clerk.
Our next question is from Dennis Bureau. The question is as follows. The September 15th issue of The Independent reported on the serious pickup situation in front of the National Grocery Store on Sherbrooke. National provides online ordering and quick turnaround, an important service and one highly valued by Westmount residents, especially our many seniors. Way too often, though, the grocery pickup necessitates double parking on a very busy Sherbrooke. This puts its customers at risk, the employees of National, as well as the surrounding traffic on Sherbrooke. The minutes of the September 9th TAC meeting lists its recommendations to establish a loading zone. A half a year has gone by. When will the zone be set up?
The zone has been set up, and I would encourage we've spoken to the owners of National. I'm in there all the time, so he often brings up any city issues. But it has been set up, and there is a loading zone there. But it is still not an invitation for people to double park on Sherbrooke Street. So there is, there is no excuse for that. But we did set up that loading zone. Does anyone else want to comment on that? That is from the TAC or councillor from the area? No.
It was set up. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Councillor Bostock.
It was set up quite a while ago, and I mean, public security and the SPVM do their rounds as often as they can to ensure that people are not double parking there. So it's getting the word out that it's not okay to double park, but tickets are issued when the infraction is made.
Thank you. Councillor Cutler, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that it's an example of feedback we get coming to TAC and then us putting in place measures. Things change, right? We recognize the opportunity there is good, good feedback. I think both public security and the SPVM agreed that it was a safe option. And so, we appreciate getting that type of feedback and then letting the administration carry it out.
Yeah, and I think that National has been able to share with the food service people that often do the pickup where it is and that it's available. So thank you for that. Next question.
Our next question is from Daniel Lambert of the Association of Pedestrians and Cyclists of Westmount. And his question is, at the January 18th council meeting, we noted that many residents walking, jogging, walking with walkers, or in wheelchairs use the de Maisonneuve sidewalks, the bike path, or the driving lane to socially distance when out for exercise, or on their way to Green Avenue, Alexis Neon, or downtown. Since de Maisonneuve will be closed this summer between Melville and Clark to replace the main water pipe running down the middle of the street, we suggested the city provide an alternative social distancing pedestrian corridor along the south side of Sherbrooke by removing a driving lane or a parking lane. Council said it would consider how best to fulfill this important physical and mental health need in our community. Has the city decided on an alternative pedestrian route?
I don't have, thank you, Mr. Lambert, for the question. And I know that we've had lots of discussions over the past year, years prior as well, but in particular pedestrian safety in the time of COVID when our sidewalks are more crowded and people are trying to get space. I don't have an official update for you on that, but I will get back to you. I will speak to, I know that our engineering department had been speaking to the City of Montreal, which is doing the work on de Maisonneuve. Does anyone else have an update on that? No, but we will follow up with you, Mr. Lambert, with more details on that. Thank you. Next question. Our
next question is from Peter Hoffman, and his question is as follows. A demolition application for 325 Melville, a rental property with several units, was made public as required by Section 79(7) Bylaw 1300 and then inexplicably removed from the public domain a few days after posting. Contrary to long-standing practice, does the city now believe residents are only entitled to comment on the heritage/urban planning value of the building, or also on the replacement plan and its community impact? And if the latter, have all documents required by Section 79 Bylaw 1300 or a SCAUPI application been filed with the city? And if so, why has the SCAUPI not been made public? How does the replacement plan displayed on the website, since removed, comply with the city's bylaws and its planning program?
Thank you for the question to Mr. Hoffman, who I know lives very close to this project, 325 Melville, that's at question for the demolition hearing in a few weeks. And I recognize that when you have, we're a city that's, primarily a built city with a lot of heritage, and we take great pride in our architecture. And I recognize for some people that it is difficult when there is a project with unknowns. But what is at question here, and as well, I know Mr. Hoffman has communicated with or written to council as well as to the administration. The question at hand is the demolition, and rather than the preliminary replacement program, it's the demolition that is at issue. And the preliminary replacement program is just that, it's preliminary. And it can still change, and it will change. It's part of the SCAOP process. And it's, which is a legal but the legal process, including the 10-day written consultation period, is being followed. The owner of the building has a right to ask for this, but that does not in any way mean that it will be deemed, we're not saying that that is deemed acceptable at this point. So we are following the process, would be my answer to Mr. Hoffman. And I'm sure he will continue to follow this file closely. So thank you for your question, Mr. Hoffman. Next question.
Our next question is from François Lheureux. And the question is, in connection with the holding of tonight's regular Westmount City Council meeting, and more particularly the demolition application for 325 Melville Avenue building, I respectfully would like to get from the City Council a detailed reply on the following three-part question. Based on the fact that no replacement program is currently available to the public for comment on the city website or any other municipal public documents, and in light of this lack of transparency, will the city now suspend the 325 Melville demolition application process? If not, why? And how does the city propose to comply with its legal obligations under its planning program, demolition bylaw, and Quebec legislation on consultative processes?
Thank you, Mr. Lheureux, for your question. And I understand. I see that you live right next door to the 325 Melville. So obviously that is a concern for you. The city, there is no intention at this point to suspend the demolition application process that's set for March 15th. The law does not require the publication of a preliminary replacement program, but this replacement program must be analyzed by the demolition committee following a recommendation of the PAC. Objections or comments must be related to the demolition request, according to the law and the regulations. In addition, when the replacement program involves a SCAOP, or as sometimes as often as PPC-moi, it must be the subject of public consultation and consideration according to the legal procedures before it can be considered for adoption. No demolition permit will be granted until this process is fully carried out. So if it does go down the SCAOP, PPC-moi process, there are not one but two opportunities for citizens to be to weigh in on this project. And have their say as to what as to what they think is best suited for their neighborhood. So thank you for the question, but I do recognize when you live next door to a site or it's in close proximity to you, and that that can be obviously a cause for concern, but the process is being followed and we encourage citizen engagement in this. So thank you for your question.
So our next question is from Robert Babchak. And this question is as follows. A demolition application notice was posted outside 325 Melville. Looking at the building, it appears fully occupied and in good shape. It may need a coat of paint or some minor renovations, but aside from that, it does not appear to pose any danger to the inhabitants or the public. Is this a new position of the city that viable residential buildings can be demolished and replaced with larger buildings?
So on that note, the state of the building will be a criteria that the demolition committee considers when they make their decision. And absolutely not. I think everyone on this council, agrees with me that the heritage of this city and, the houses that we have are very important. So it's not it's to insinuate that it is a priority or that this council is going to be tearing down buildings. This would not be accurate. But again, I see that it is someone who lives very close by, so I understand the concern when you live right next to a project like that. But it is absolutely, the state of the building will be taken into consideration at the demolition hearing. So thank you for your question on that. Does anyone want to add anything to that? No? Okay. Are there any further questions?
One more question. This question is from Richard Locke. And his question is, in relation to the discussion about parking on the west side of Lansdowne Avenue between Sherbrooke and de Maisonneuve, has the poll been tallied? And if not, when might we hear the result? I'm also curious about the origin of the large number needed for a positive result. I believe that even for the demerger of 2004, 66% of all registered voters was not required. Perhaps Councillor Lulham could remind us of the situation, since I believe that she is the only councillor today present who was there at that time.
I can thank you, Mr. Locke, for your question. And I know that you've been very active in this file and have shared lots of feedback and commentary. And I will hand it over to Councillor Breschke. I don't know if Councillor Lulham wants to comment further as to what happened back then, but Councillor Breschke has been very involved in this file as both the councillor for the district, but as a member of TAC as well. So I will hand it over to her.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the deadline for this survey was last Thursday. So I want to thank all the residents who participated, including Mr. Locke. Thank you. So the full tally and details of this goes to the next step at the TAC meeting, the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting. And then a recommendation, a discussion will be made. I have to just emphasize that all the input that we received from residents, whether it was in a letter to the editor in the newspapers or by email to council members and or to the administration, have been received and are being looked at. So once TAC gives out a recommendation, it then goes back to council. So I'm sure I'll be able to provide another update for you at the next council meeting. So thank you for the question.
Thank you. We look forward to hearing the results of that. To the city clerk, are there any more questions?
No further questions.
No? Okay, thank you. So we will now move to the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Breschke will move that with the added item, right? Item 13.1. Or would you like me to list that we are going to add?
I can move that.
Thank you.
Added item. I move that the agenda of the regular council sitting of March 1st, 2021 be adopted with the addition of the item
13.1.
13.1.
Yes, and that is a termination of employee 01122. So we will add that at the end. Thank you. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Lulham, all in favor? Carried. Numéro 4, l'adoption de l'ordre du jour. Le conseiller Breschke encore.
Je propose que l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du Conseil du 1er mars 2021 soit adopté.
Merci beaucoup. Est-ce que j'ai un appuyeur pour ça? Monsieur Chamy, tout en faveur? All in favor? Carried. Item number 5, numéro 5, approbation de procès verbal. Encore, Madame Breschke.
I move that the minutes of the regular council sitting held on February 15, 2021 be approved.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Gallery, all in favor? Carried. Reports to council. There is no correspondence to table. Item 6.2, Councillor Breschke. There are no minutes of the general committee to be tabled at this point. Is that accurate? Yes.
There are no minutes to be tabled.
And Councillor Kez, 6.3, Finance and Administration Committee minutes.
Yeah, the minutes of the Finance and Administration Committee meetings held on December 2nd and 11th, 2020 are tabled.
Thank you very much. 6.4, le procès-verbaux du comité consultatif sur les transports, le conseiller Bostock.
Minutes of the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting held on January 19, 2021 are tabled and are available on the city's website.
Thank you. 6.5, le rapport de la main-d'œuvre, le conseiller Chamy. I think he is having some technical difficulties. So the manpower reports of January 2021 are tabled.
It's tabled.
Okay, thank you. 6.6, the check register or the payment registry, Councillor Kez.
Yeah, the list of payments for the month of January 2021 is tabled.
Thank you very much. 6.7, Councillor Chamy. Are you still having?
Mayor, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. I can no longer hear you though. Is that just me? Okay, so why don't
Authorization of expenditures for the month of January.
is tabled. Thank you.
I didn't quite hear that one.
So can I move that for Councillor Chamy because I think he's having some technical difficulties. In
Yeah.
accordance with bylaw 1507 on the delegation of powers to certain employees of the city of Westmount, the list of authorization of expenditures for the month of January 2021 is tabled. That's good. 6.8, comments received following the written consultation of bylaw 1568. Councillor Lulham.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. 2 comments received following the written consultation concerning the first draft of bylaw number 1568 entitled bylaw 1568 to further amend zoning bylaw 1303 zone C52001, C52002, C52003, C52004, C52005, C52107, C52412, and C52414 restaurants are tabled.
Thank you very much. Item number 7, l'orientation du conseil sur les sujets devant être présentés au conseil d'agglomération de Montréal. Conseiller Breschke.
Je propose que la mairesse ou en son absence, le maire suppléant soit autorisé à prendre toute décision qu'elle jugera opportune à l'égard des sujets inscrits à l'ordre du jour de la séance du conseil d'agglomération de Montréal devant se tenir le 25 mars 2021. Et ce, dans le meilleur intérêt de la ville de Westmount et de ses résidents.
Merci beaucoup. Est-ce que j'ai un appuyeur? Le conseiller Chamy, tout en faveur? All in favor? Carried. Item number 8 is modification of resolution number 2021-02-30, call for tenders by invitation. Supply of seeds, annual flowers, and tropical plants to be planted in city parks and green spaces in the spring of 2021. Councillor Lulham.
I move that resolution number 210230 be amended by replacing the title with request for proposals, supply of seeds, annual flowers, and tropical plants to be planted in the city of Westmount's parks and green spaces in the spring of 2021, INV 2021-005, that the first paragraph of resolution number 210230 be amended by adding request for proposals number INV 2020-005 at the end of the paragraph.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Breshke. Any further comments on this, Councillor Lellem?
We passed this resolution mid-month. In February, it's just a correction to the resolution.
Thank
for some
you.
wording.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Item number 9, call for public tenders, purchase of 1,100 meters of 350 MCM 3C XLPE cables for work on Westmount Avenue, PUB-2021-020. Councillor Shammy, are you having technical difficulties? You're okay?
No, I think I'm okay, Madam Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I move to authorize the expenditure in the amount of $236,488.56, including tax credits, for the purchase of 1,100 meters of 350 MCM 3C XLPE cables for the work on Westmount Avenue, tender number PUB 2021-020. And to award to Lumen Division de Sonepar Canada Inc. the contract for this purpose at its bid price for a maximum amount of $271,902.72, including taxes, the whole in conformity with the contractual documents of the call for tender PUB 2020-020. And finally, Madam Mayor, to allocate this expenditure in accordance with the financial information included in the decision-making file 2021-1181.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder for this? Councillor Cutler. Any further comments on this? No? All in favor? Carried. Item number 10, call for tenders by invitation, cancellation of the call for tenders by invitation 2021-007. Again, Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the 2 tenders submitted as a result of the call for tenders bearing number INV-2021-007 for the contract for the purchase of 14-inch Washington street lamps be rejected on the basis that the bids received are non-conforming.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder on this motion? Councillor Bostock, any further comments on this?
Straightforward, they were just non-conforming.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Item number 11, adoption of a second draft bylaw 1568 to further amend zoning bylaw 1303, zones C5-20-01, C5-20-02, C5-2003, C5-2004, C5-2005, C5-2107, C5-24-12, and C5-24-14 restaurants. The city clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to report that all formalities required for dispensing with the reading of this bylaw have been observed and that copies of the bylaw have been remitted to all members of council and are available for public reference. The object of this bylaw is to amend the tables of permitted building types and uses attached to zoning bylaw 1303 to remove the maximum area requirements and the requirement to serve at tables. The object of this bylaw is also to abolish the restriction on the number of restaurants permitted in zones C5-2001, C5-2002, C5-2003, C5-2004, C5-2005, C5-2107, C5-24-12, and C5-24-14.
Thank you. Can I have the declaration by each member of council present that he or she has read the bylaw and that reading is waived thereof?
So declared.
Thank you. Councillor Lellem.
I move that the second draft bylaw number 1568 entitled Bylaw 1568 to further amend zoning bylaw 1303, zone C5-2001, C5-2002, C5-2003, C5-2004, C5-2005, C5-2107, C5-2412, and C5-2414 restaurants be adopted with no modification.
Thank you very much. Can I have a seconder on this motion? Councillor Peart. Any further comments on this?
So the purpose of these amendments is to allow for restaurants and food services in our commercial sectors to promote a vibrant and active sector post-COVID. We want to be ready by removing unnecessary restrictions and to facilitate the permit process for those wishing to open new businesses. We have many places that need to be rented, and we have space for more restaurants.
Thank you very much. And as you mentioned before, in the tabling of the documents, there were 2 written comments on this that were taken in very much into consideration. And this was something that was studied by the urban planning group at length. So it is not, we obviously don't take these changes lightly, but we do think they're important for the diversity of the commercial sector. So thank you for that. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 12, urban planning, approval under bylaw on site planning and architectural integration. Councillor Peart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that according to the recommendations made by the Planning Advisory Committee at its meetings held on February 22nd and February 23rd of 2021, the building permit applications appearing on the attached list reviewed under bylaw 1305 on site planning and architectural integration programs be approved.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lulham is raising her hand to second that. Any significant files on this list tonight? Or not? They're all significant because they're people's homes, but
well said, Madam Mayor.
Any files that you feel you need to highlight?
Nothing to highlight. Some mostly smaller files. There are a couple of additions making up our medium-sized files.
Okay.
But I anticipate the pace will pick up as the season continues.
Yes. So now if you are ready to submit your permit, you should, as things will only get busier there. And on that note, all in favor? Carried. And we have 1 item of new business, 13.1. Councillor Shammy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
I'd like to read into the record the whereas, 13.1, termination of an employee. Whereas the employee number 01122 used the city's facilities and the equipment for personal gain, knowing that such practice was prohibited. Whereas employee number 01122 has failed to comply with the Code of Ethics and the Good Conduct for Employees of the City of Westmount, primarily with respect to integrity and loyalty. Whereas employee number 01122 was suspended without pay on December 4th, 2020 for the purpose of an investigation. Whereas the results of the investigation conducted by the Human Resources Department demonstrate without question the seriousness of the infractions committed by employee number 01122. And whereas employee number 01122 has broken the bond of trust with his employer, I move, Madam Mayor, that the City of Westmount dismiss for cause employee number 01122 retroactively to December 4th, 2020, the date on which she was suspended without pay for the purpose of an investigation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Cutler. I think you covered it in the whereases, so we don't need any further comments. All in favor? Carried. That brings us to our second question period. I would ask the city clerk if there are any questions that have been submitted.
Let's do a final refresh of our YouTube live page and let's see if any have been received. No questions received for our second question period.
Thank you. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. So thank you very much. Bonsoir tout le monde. Merci beaucoup.